This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Thanks for joining today's show. In today's episode, I will have the closing markets with Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. But first, it is a portion of the Pods of Potential podcast, in which I was joined by Mike Paustian, an Eastern Iowa farmer, and Lucas DeBrine of the Iowa Soybean Association for a discussion on relay intercropping. You can find the full episode of Pods of Potential on our website at iowaagnet.com. Just click on the banner on the homepage or navigate to the podcast tab. First of all, let's just start things off here, guys. A little bit of an introduction for both of you. Let's start with you, Lucas. I know that you are well-versed in a lot of topics at the Iowa Soybean Association. Could you tell me, please, your job role at ISA and kind of some of those topics that you work on?
Yeah, like I said, my name is Lucas DeBrine. I'm one of the research agronomists that covers the state. I kind of focus on the southeast and east central part of the state. Yeah, focus on research, looking at, like you said, relay cropping. We do a little bit of everything from nitrogen rates in corn to fertilizer management in corn and soybeans and just other practices trying to improve profitability on the farm.
And Lucas, of course, is a research agronomist with ISA. And then Mike, as I mentioned, is a farmer here in Eastern Iowa, Scott County farmer. We are near Walcott here in Scott County. Mike Paustian. And Mike, pulling into your farm here today, I was a little bit surprised to see I was going to be pulling right by the I-80 truck stop. Could you tell us a little bit about your farming operation and your setup?
Yeah, sure. So farm with my family here. I'm a sixth generation Paustian to be on the farm. We have a farrow to finish hog operation, have a feed mill on site that all of our corn goes through, and also raise soybeans. And as of a few years ago, also been raising some rye for seed.
All right, so let's jump into our topic of discussion, which once again today is relay intercropping, small grains and soybeans. And Lucas, could you just start us from the 40,000 foot view? What is relay intercropping? Why is it important?
Yeah, relay intercropping, everybody says, oh, we know what that, we've tried that before, we've combined our small grains and planted soybeans. Well, that's not really intercropping, that's dual cropping. Relay cropping is when you plant your small grains in the fall, then you come back in the spring and you plant your soybeans into the standing grain and you let both crops grow at the same time, and then you go combine the rye or wheat or whatever small grains over top of the soybeans while they're still continuing to grow, and then bring the soybeans to maturity and combine those as well. So you're really getting, two crops within one growing season growing at the same time.
So when you're talking terminology, then does that a little bit of a hang up for people sometimes when they hear relay intercropping? They don't necessarily know exactly what it is. They might be thinking dual cropping.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get more people recognizing it, but I know early on it was, I combine my rye or wheat and then I'll go back and plant the soybeans, and never had good luck with that. And so it's just trying to make sure everybody's on the same understanding.
And then also sticking with that big picture view, what is the goal of relay intercropping? What is the end term, or what is that end goal of what we're really looking to achieve?
I think that's different for every farmer. A little bit of, like for us personally, we're just trying to maximize the acre. We do cover crops, and this is one way to get our cover crop seed and still be raising soybeans and not have to have, almost fallow stuff throughout the year, because we haven't had good luck dual cropping. And so this allows us to really hone in and improve profitability on 1 acre.
Thank you to Lucas DeBrine and Mike Paustian for joining us in that latest segment from Pods of Potential. It's time now for the closing markets, and I'm joined by Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. Ethan, what did we see in the trade in the grains here today?
Yeah, seeing some green on the screen today, closing at 120. Early on in the session, seeing red across the screen. Day 43 of the government shutdown. Looks like the House is expected to vote on a continuing resolution bill later this afternoon. As far as the grain market, seeing a two-sided trade early on. Trade continues just to wait till Friday for possible WASDE report. Trade's expecting corn yields to come down about 2.7 bushels, around a 184 type national yield. Soybeans down a little bit too. And so that just really has the market wait and see, get some position squaring on before Friday's report.
So speaking of Friday's WASDE report, obviously it's been about 2 months now since we've had a WASDE to go off of the numbers in that report, and because we did not get one in October. But at the same time, we know that this report was put together fairly quickly as the USDA workers were instructed to build this report about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So when you look at this report, Ethan, how do you kind of view it going into the report, and basically what do you expect to happen when we actually get those numbers in our hands?
Yeah, so right now, like you said earlier, that USDA had to do a little bit of different protocol for this report, being the government shutdown. And so this report really is just going to give the trade some sort of direction, some sort of numbers to trade on short term, but definitely think long term continue to focus on any sort of Chinese purchases of U.S. soybeans, and then go forward to the December and the January USDA report to truly try and find out, give the USDA more time. How big is this U.S. corn and soybean crop, and what are the soybean export program going to be? Because like you said, with the government shutdown, we haven't had much data to trade on over the last 2 months, give or take, just under. Really, export inspections have been the only one. So it's going to be interesting to see Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time, how the trade responds to the numbers.
On the livestock side of the trade today, what did the trade look like for cattle and hogs?
Yeah, seeing a little bit of a defensive tone in the cattle and hogs today. Live cattle December down $1.92 at 225.27. Feeder cattle January down $1.67 as well at 327.47. Technical wise, live cattle December contract traded above the 10-day moving average. That was supported to see from the technical side before retreating slightly. Still have that gap in both the live and feeder contracts from the October 24th and the 16th sell-off that really started this recent sell-off in the charts. And so U.S. President Trump continues to want lower beef prices, and the president's a powerful man, and so he's trying to do everything possible. So that has the fund manager, as far as the cattle side, just on the defensive today.
And then just one more point about the overall financial markets. We saw those starting to climb as soon as the news was heading in a good direction for the government shutdown ending. Has that continued here in recent days since?
It has, yes. So Dow Jones was, I believe, close to a record high if it did not hit it yesterday, up another 300 points today. S&P and NASDAQ are both nearly unchanged. And so stock markets feel fairly good about the government reopening. They're going to be watching closely, too, for the December 10th Federal Reserve meeting, seeing if they're going to cut interest rates. Well, trade right now expecting about a 62% chance of a 25 basis point cut. So it's going to be interesting to see if that happens.
Ethan, a lot of great information and resources from the team at agmarket.net. What's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Yeah, give us a call here in Bloomington Normal, 1-800-779-1515. Or visit us online, agmarket.net, test out our MyFarm software or any of our intel.
Thank you to Ethan Robson of agmarket.net for joining today's show with the closing market discussion. Let's take a look at the closing numbers. You can find that information under the markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com. December corn closes up 3 1/4 at 435 1/4. January soybeans up 6 1/2 at 1133 3/4. December soybean meal up 410 at 321 even. December soybean oil down 48 cents at 50.62. Chicago wheat unchanged at 5.36. Minneapolis wheat unchanged at 5.70. Kansas City hard red wheat up 1 3/4 at 5.25 1/2. December oats up 1 1/4 at 3.06 1/4. On the Merc, December live cattle closes down $1.93 at 225.28. November feeder cattle up $1.35 at 339.03. December lean hogs down $1.73 at 80.63. December pork cutout down $1.10 at 93.90. Class 3 milk down 7 cents at 17.16. That wraps up the closing markets for today and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. There you will find our daily news stories as well as all of our daily podcasts. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, you've been watching Ag Matters PM.